So today we're going to talk about cults in Korea.
And then they put me inside the bedroom, like the ajumas, they put me inside this bedroom and they're like, okay, so you cannot scream and you cannot leave. The pastor will come. And I was like, I cannot scream? What are you talking about?
They approached me and said, I can see that your mother's sick right now.
Talking about the In the Name of God, the JMS cult, she ended up shaking hands with this dude. And when she shook hands, all the other girls were like, oh my God, I'm so jealous. You're so lucky. Like you got to go shake hands with this person. And that's the point where my friend was like, okay, something is wrong.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Yay.
Okay, this show is our new segment called Korea Uncharted, where we invite people from various cultural backgrounds and share exciting experiences. Interesting experiences.
Very exciting experiences.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about cults in Korea. I believe that a lot of foreigners are being approached by these people. So let's share that kind of experience today. And before that, let's introduce ourselves to the viewers.
Hi everyone. I am Nandita. I'm from India and I've been living in Korea for almost 4 years now. I came as a student and now I'm working in Korea. So I have been here for quite a while. And while I was a student, the naive little student, I have had some experiences.
How about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Vitoria. I'm from Brazil and I study here in Korea. And it's been almost 4.5 years I'm living here. And not just when I was a naive student. I've been approached a lot of times until nowadays. And yeah, I have a lot of stories to tell.
Okay, I'm your host, Megan Lee. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so before we get into your stories, do you think it is common for foreigners to be approached by these religious cults in the streets?
Very common.
Yeah.
I would say very, very, very common. Like people don't really talk about it a lot unless you like ask them, like, have you been approached by a cult? Then they'll say, yeah, of course I have. But I think every foreign friend that I've here, everyone has.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Like every time you talk about something like that, like, oh, I got approached by someone from the church, and they'll be like, oh, again, like, oh, me too, last week. There's always someone with a story to tell, like every foreigner I know.
Yeah, I think that foreigners are easy targets for that because of the language
Very
barrier.
easy.
Yeah, and
And they speak good English.
yeah, and that's really exciting. They hire these English-speaking people to do that, right?
Professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very common.
So is there a specific way they approach foreigners?
Like more than specific ways, there's like specific areas where they target. So like where foreigners usually go in Korea. So it's like Hongdae, Jamsil, in Itaewon. I don't think there's a lot in Itaewon, but
Myeongdong there's.
Myeongdong.
Yeah.
Oh.
Myeongdong. Like all the touristy areas, all the
Jamsil is a random place.
Gangnam. I mean like
Gangnam.
Gangnam, okay.
Jamsil kind of areas.
Sicheon too, like City Hall.
Oh.
Here a lot.
And also on university campuses.
Yeah.
University campuses are like the hotbed. Hotbed. The amount of times we have been approached in the universities is ridiculous.
Like within the university?
Yeah, within
Are they
the
allowed
campus.
inside?
In front of a dormitory.
In front of our dormitory, like in the refectory, the cafeteria.
Yeah, because you can't tell whether they're like from those religious cults.
Yeah, pretty much wherever you find foreigners, they'll be there. And usually they start by, like, in my experience, I've been asked like, oh, do you want to experience a Korean traditional ceremony? It's like, this will be like a munwacheom, a cultural experience, you know?
Okay.
And like for me, I was like, it was my first time in Korea. So for me, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And like,
Munwacheom.
yeah, munwacheom. So it was like either munwacheom or they're like, oh, how long have you been in Korea? Do you speak English? Like they just start the conversation very casually.
In English.
In English. Like very casually. It's like, oh, are you alone here? And also they usually target people who are traveling alone, who are walking alone on the street.
They're usually pairs, right?
Pairs or like 3 of them.
They're never alone.
Yeah.
They're never
Yeah.
I've been approached in some like very similar ways, I would say. Because I don't know if it's my personality or something, but I'm always smiling. So I think I'm very approachable. Yeah, I'm very approachable. So like they come to me a lot, and they always come to me like, oh, hi, where are you from? Like, are you studying here? What do you study? Like, this kind of things. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, answering. And usually, like, I answer in Korean. So they're like, oh, my God, your Korean is so good. And I'm like, oh, 잘하신다. Thank you. And I just keep the conversation with them. I used to. Now I'm fascinated now. I don't do it anymore. But I used to keep the conversation with them till the point they start to say like, oh, we have a group and like we meet every Sunday and we do a lot of nice activities. Do you want to join us? And I'm just like, oh no, I know where it is coming. What is coming? And then she comes with a flyer with some Jesus or something like that. And I'll be like, oh,
not again.
Once again. And it used to happen like once a week on campus, I would say. Like the past years, nowadays, it's not happening anymore because university has some policies now, but
also COVID. Like pre-COVID, it was much more aggressive.
No, even during COVID. I think I went to uni like 4 or 3 times during the month to go to the library or something like that. And I would be approached every single time. Like every single time. And every time they would have a different story, like trying to catch me. There was a time this lady came and she brought like 3 little... They were not little, they look like teenagers, and they were like, oh, like this group saved my life. I came from North Korea and I was so sad and lonely, and now I feel that I belong somewhere, and we think that you as a foreigner, you need to feel this belonging. And I'm like,
you're like Pokemons, and they're like playing Pokemon Go in real life. It's like, go catch them all.
Yes, and usually like they're in 2 or 3 people. So one of them tries to approach you. And if they do not succeed, the other one comes, and then the other one comes, and like they all try until you like say no to all of them. But it sounds like a challenge for them,
But like a lot of times they also lure you in with free food. She has some experience. They usually come and like, we'll buy you a coffee. Do you want to come with us? Like, we'll like talk about something.
I don't understand. Why would you follow a stranger who say that you're gonna give you free food? That's dangerous.
But it's not just food. Like they treat you very nice. Yeah, like when you're in a foreign country and like you don't have a lot of friends, and like, especially Koreans, like it's not easy to meet Korean friends, and like you're just there on the street and someone is like, oh, you're so pretty, like where are you from, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like a daily conversation for us. Like everyone asks the same questions. It's like, where are you from, what are you doing here, blah blah blah. And it always starts like that, even with the cult people. So we're like, okay, they're just maybe curious.
Yeah, like my country is so common. Yeah. Like to talk with people in the street like that. Like you are in the bus stop and you start a conversation, And when I first came, I was just like, oh, nice, people that are like me. They like to talk in random spaces. Like, that's normal.
You don't see the red flags in the beginning of the conversation. For you, it's just like a normal conversation.
For
like someone is just being nice to you. So you be nice to them too, because that's how humans work. It's like, you don't go like, yeah, no, I don't want to talk with you because you are a stranger. But like if they're nice to you and they're asking questions about you, you obviously get like, I was like, oh, someone is interested in me, stuff like that.
Koreans are less of a target to them because Koreans don't like getting approached by people in the streets.
They are suspicious enough, I think, too. Not suspicious, I think they know these things are not normal. So they don't really. But I heard about Korean friends that actually got approached.
Including me.
Oh, really?
I'm here to talk about that.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought you were just a host.
This is very embarrassing for me because I usually don't open up about this kind of experience because people would
judge you.
Yeah.
That's what people don't talk about it. That's what people don't talk about getting.
So stupid.
I feel so stupid. Yeah.
I feel stupid too. Yeah. But it's okay. Everyone goes through it.
Yeah, I think the way how these people approach foreigners and Koreans are very different. Because if it's foreigners, they say, oh, like, nice to meet you, like, where you're from, and they be, like, friendly and all that, and they target happy-faced foreigners like you. But for Koreans, they find sad-faced.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, the opposite.
The vulnerable.
Yeah, the vulnerable people. So like I was in university, and I was walking around the Shinchon area. They have a lot of cults there. And I think I was 20 years old, and I had never experienced that before, so it was very new to me. These religious people, two people, they approached me and said, "Oh, I know that you have a lot of worries in your life. I can see that your mother's sick right now."
Was she?
And she was. And she was, and I was like, "How do you know?" And that started the conversation. And I actually followed them out of curiosity, and I was really into shamanism and stuff that in that time of my life. So I followed them and went through this rituals.
We have been through it too. It's fine.
And this is a really embarrassing topic for me, because not a lot of Koreans get lured into these kind of stupid religious activities. And thinking back, I think it was really dangerous to follow strangers. And there was a taxi waiting for me.
They had it all planned out.
Yeah. And I thought it was a normal taxi, but it was kind of strange because the religious people, the cult people, and the taxi driver was kind of having this conversation as if they were like friends or something. And they didn't tell the taxi driver where to go, the direction, but the taxi driver was going straight to that place. So, like, thinking back, I was really brave to follow these people, right?
Yeah.
It's really dangerous. And I did all that ritual stuff, I wore those.
The hanbok?
Yeah, the hanbok and stuff.
Have
you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Our stories are coming.
We've been there.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
safe
yeah.
space. Everyone has been there.
Yeah, so I ended up not paying, and they were kind of angry at me, but I managed to get out of that place.
Did they take you like far from Shincheon, or was it like somewhere in Shincheon?
in Ahyeon, so it was
Ahyeon.
not
Oh, it
that
wasn't.
far. So yeah, how about your experience? Let's talk about yours.
My experience, I don't know if I can call it a cult, but like a pseudo cult, quote unquote cult, because it was like they advertised it as a history club of university students. So it was back in 2019 where when I came to Korea for the first time, and I was traveling alone just for 1 month. It was like before my studying period. So I came here alone for 1 month. And as another Wegugin in Korea who's here for the first time, I'm in Hongdae. And I'm walking, it's like broad daylight. It's like, I think like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. or something. I'm walking in Hongdae. And of course, I'm like close to the exit number 8, exit number 9, where, everyone goes. And they know that we go there. Like, that's the exit that we come out from.
They wait for people.
They
to
wait
come
for
out.
people.
Yeah.
Like, I was there outside the exit, and these two girls, they super young, they're like my age probably, they're like university students. They come with like a tablet with them, and they just come to me and they just start talking. It's like, "Oh, are you traveling alone?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." Great tick mark for them. Traveling alone. And they just start talking to me about like what I'm doing here, where I'm from, and like how long I'm here and all that stuff. And at that point in my life, I was kind of in a very difficult phase. Like, I dropped out of university. I have no idea what I was going to do in the future. So I was like not the super excited Wegugin. I was like a little bit more like depressed in that period. So they kind of, maybe they got the vibe that I was in a vulnerable state and I needed a friend, and they got it right. And they started talking to me. They were super nice, and I was like, yeah, okay, maybe like I have Korean friends now, I guess. And they're like, so yeah, after talking for a while, they drop in. It's like, so we're part of a history club. It's like all university students who are interested in history and everything, and we like offer Korean traditional ceremony experiences for foreigners, because like we want them to experience this, because like our tradition, I don't know how much traditional it is, or if it's even a proper like
it's close to shamanism, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
they
it's
knew
like,
that my mom was sick.
maybe there was like a dart, like they just got a bullseye. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, I have nothing to do. Anyways, I'm here for a month. Like I had time to go to every like all the touristy places. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I went with them. We took the subway to go to this place. It was like far from Hongdae. It was like a 30-minute subway ride or something. It was
30 minutes?
Yeah. It was like on the other side of the river. It was somewhere in Kuro or someplace over there. Like, it was not in the Hongdae area. And I went with them, and they were just talking about stuff, like normal stuff. Like, they were not really... I couldn't see any red flags. So I was like, okay.
What did you talk about, like, for 30 minutes?
I don't know. They were just asking, like, what am I doing? What am I studying? What did I do in life? And, like, what am I doing here? Where have I went in Korea? What have I done? And, like, stuff like that.
They were collecting information all along.
Information. And I went with them, and then we go to this 2-story, like, it was like a villa. Not like the villas, but like in Korea, villas are like 4-story buildings, super old buildings. And we go inside this building, and it's like their club has like 2 floors, and it's a huge area. Like, there are like so many Korean kids, and all of them have like 외국인s. All of them had like foreigners with them. So like everyone has brought someone with them, and like they're making them, like giving them the experience. So I go with these 2 girls, and they make me sit down, and before doing the ceremony and everything, they explain me like why they are making me do this, or like why I'm like what this experience is about. And they make me like draw my ancestors and like my lineage and all that stuff. And they're like, so in Korea traditionally, like if you do good, like all the little good things that you do in your life, it makes your ancestors afterlife easier. Like some sort of logic like that.
Exactly.
So like if you do this ceremony, your ancestors who have like who are up in heaven or whatever, they will have a better time or something like that, and they will look after you.
Yeah, they're gonna help
and
you.
And they'll help you. So I was like,
because they're in a good mood.
They're in a good mood. Exactly. So I was like, I'm in a very vulnerable position right now. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to do in the future. I need some help, any sort of help, whatever. Like, give me a sign of something, ancestors, help me out. So I was like, so all my grandparents are alive except my grandmother, my dad's mom. And I was like, okay, let's just pray to my grandma, I guess, because she was a super nice person, and she passed away when I was really small, so I don't have a lot of memories of her. But I was like, okay, if I have to think of an ancestor, it's going to be her. And so I wrote her name and everything, and they made me, like, they were drawing a lot of things on the paper. They were drawing all my lineage and like explaining me how the steps of heaven and like the steps of goodness and all that stuff works. And I was like, okay, I guess. And the whole time they were like, okay, keep thinking about your grandma while we're explaining stuff so that you can like connect with her and like stuff like that.
That's scary.
And then after they explained me everything, they took me to another room and they made me change into a hanbok, a super like light pink hanbok. And it was not just me. There were like 5 other foreigners over there also doing the same thing. So we were all changing into hanboks and everything. And then they take us to this other room, and it had like, the traditional, like the partitions, the wall partitions, Korean partitions. They had those, and then they had the whole chesa thing set up, like the ancestral rites, the setup, like with all the fruits and vegetables, like, and all the stuff that you offer to the ancestors. And then there was like this one person who was conducting the whole thing, and they were like speaking in, I don't know what language it was.
So it wasn't Korean.
I mean, at that time my Korean was not that good, so I have no idea to be honest. I just remember that I didn't understand what they were saying. And they made us do the bow down, kneel down to your ancestors, the whole thing. Yeah. We did it for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something. Like, they made us do the whole thing that I think Koreans do it on Chuseok? Yeah, the whole ceremony.
In different directions you have to bow down, different gods.
Yeah, they made us like sit down cross and then get up and then bow down, kneel down. And
that was when I thought something was...
Yeah, it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah,
like, I'm not even Korean. Like, why am I supposed to do this? Like, I understand, like, traditional experience, like, maybe it was just me wearing a hanbok or whatever. But they made me do the whole ceremony. And then after the ceremony, they offered me, like, snacks and stuff, got free food. And then if it was all over, now they come to me and then they say, okay, so this ceremony, it only works if you don't tell about this to anyone for 3 months.
Oh my.
And that's the point. It was like, I can't tell this to anyone? And at that point, as I said, I was very vulnerable. I was like, I'm going to do anything in my power to help me figure out my future. So I was like, okay, not telling anyone for 3 months, I guess. That's why I don't think I've ever told this story to my parents, because like 3 months passed and then I forgot about it. So I never got the chance to like tell to anyone. And then I met my friends and I was like, we were talking. I was like, oh my God, we have been kidnapped by the same cult. So many of my friends, like I think 3 of my friends all went to the same history club. And at the end, the worst part is they made me pay money. They're like, okay, so like we need like fundings, we need support for us to keep our history club going on and like have other foreigners get this experience and everything. And at that point, I was like so done with them. I just gave them manwon, 10,000 won. I was like, okay, bye.
Did you talk with the other foreigners there?
Not really, no. I didn't, because they were always with me. These 2 Korean girls, they were always with me, so I couldn't really like talk with anyone. I'm not really. It's going to sound very they're very contradictory, but I don't really talk to people.
What?
I don't really talk to strangers. Like, I'm not the first person to go and talk with them, but like if they come to talk to me, I'll talk to them. Like,
Sounds like they made a Wegugin potluck, like bring your
Bring
own
everyone.
Wegugin. Like I brought an Indian. Oh, I brought
it looked like that because every one of them had like one Wegugin chingu. And then I gave them manwon and then I went out.
Because there were other foreign students, I think you felt kind of comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I was not there alone.
Yeah.
That's the thing that made me like, okay,
Put
maybe
your
it's
guard
not
down.
that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that dangerous. Because like they were still nice people and they just made me do ancestral rites and made me pay money to them. But other than that, like I didn't feel unsafe at any time. So yeah, that was my cult experience.
How about you?
Well,
You have a lot of stories.
I have a lot of stories. Yeah. But I think I'll share the biggest one.
No, okay. Let's start with the biggest one.
The other ones I can mention later, but this biggest experience I had was in Busan in 2019. It was like, I don't know, it's 4 months after I arrived in Korea. So I was just learning Korean. I wanted to practice. I didn't have Korean friends that time. No, I don't have many either. But that time, like, I just wanted to practice, and any kind of situation that could let me practice was welcome. So I was waiting outside of the dorm of my university. I was waiting for some friends to go to the E-Mart. We're going to do some grocery shopping. I was just waiting there, and this ajumma, like, she was holding a baby, and this baby started to like smile at me, and I was so cute, and I was saying Minyoung to the baby, and she was like, oh my gosh, your Korean is so good. And I was like, wow. And then she started to talk to me like some stuff in Korean
With the baby in her hand?
with the baby. Yeah. And she started to talk to me like, oh, where are you from? Like, oh, you're so pretty. Like, your face is so pretty. And I was like, oh, thank you. I had just wake up, I was looking like, I was like, oh, she's so nice. And then she was like, oh, your Korean is so good. And I was like, yeah, I need to speak. I need to practice. She was like, oh, if you want, we can have a lunch someday and you can practice with me. I was like, oh, I made a friend. It wasn't Ajuma, but still, I wanted to practice. And she seemed to be nice. And I thought we were going to have lunch at the university cafeteria. I was like, oh, fine, nice. So I can even like show off to my other foreign friends. I have a friend now, a Korean friend, the Ajuma. And then she got my phone number. Big mistake. Never give the phone number to. Yeah, I didn't know that time, but she got my phone number, and then she was messaging me like for a week, kind of like, oh, like, did you eat? How are you doing? Like,
Major red flag. Koreans don't do that. Yeah.
yeah, and I was, I thought I made a friend. I was just like, okay. And then the day, I think we met on a Friday, something like that, and we met on the next like Thursday, something. I remember it was almost a week. And when we met after my class, and we met in front of the cafeteria. So I thought we were going to eat there. And when I arrived, I saw her and other 3 ajumas. She had friends.
Now you have 4 friends.
Oh, no, I have 4 friends. And now I'm going to sound very dumb, but like, I associate food with kindness. They were holding a waffle. They gave me a waffle, And I was like, oh my gosh, they're so kind. Food is love, they're sharing food. And, they gave me a waffle. And I was like, oh, they're so kind. And I was like, oh, why are they giving me a waffle if we're going to have lunch right now? But they were like, oh, we bought you this because you might be pegupa, you might be hungry. So first have a waffle, then we can go have lunch. I was like, no, but it's right here. We can have lunch now. And they were like, no, this food is bad for your stomach. Like, you're going to feel bad later. Like, no, we need to eat in another place. And I was like, what's happening?
Where are you taking me?
Yeah, and then at that time, like, I did had something behind my ear, like something's not this is not right, something's not right. But they had a waffle, they gave me a waffle.
That waffle.
How can they be bad people? Like, they had a waffle. So she was like, oh, we're gonna take you to eat kogi, like meat. At that time, now I'm vegetarian, but that time I was craving for meat. I'm Brazilian, we have meat all the time, and like here it's so expensive, and they were going to give me meat. Okay, I went there, and then they were like, oh, enter in our car.
Car?
Like, a car?
No.
I thought we were just walking somewhere nearby.
No.
And then they were like with the door open, and I was in this situation. There was 3 ajumas staring at me like, enter in the car. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mom is gonna kill me. If I die, my mom is gonna kill me.
Get in. You get that one. You ate that waffle. So
I was holding the waffle, like I was even like with the waffle things on my face. I was like, I had no choice. I need to enter. And then I entered the car holding my Korean books, like, and I was very like cutesy, I don't know anything about directions. I'm very bad at maps and stuff. So they start to drive. Have no idea where we were going, just driving. There was some trees and looked like a forest. I was like, oh my gosh, where are we going? I didn't know. And then I messaged my roommate that time. It was not Nani, but my roommate, like, she was suspicious. She was like, oh, be sure like to message me at some point because it seems a bit sketchy. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I don't message you in 3 hours, call the police. So I just messaged her like that, and okay, we were going, and then the car finally stopped after 20 minutes, something like that.
20 minutes.
Yeah, and they were
away.
Where did they take you?
I don't know. I just know I left the car and I look at the building and it's not a restaurant.
Of course.
That was written church, blah blah, and I was like, I fall on this. I heard so many stories from my friends, and I was like, oh no, it's my turn. I'm oh no, how could I do this? I was feeling so stupid, but I have this kind of coping mechanism when I'm in this kind of situation that, can I leave the situation? No. What am I gonna do? I'll try to enjoy. So they put me there like...
That's not a coping mechanism.
I mean, we got the story. We got a fun story to tell.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm here. And in Portuguese, we have a saying like, if you're in hell, just hug the devil. Like, what can you do? What can you do, So I just went there. Like, there was like a cafeteria, just women. They were all wearing skirts, kind of stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so weird. But they gave me a lot of food, and like I
At least you got the free food.
There was a lot of broccoli. I was so happy. Like,
broccoli.
She loves broccoli.
Yeah, I'm easily by this kind of things. And they're like, I was eating and it was very weird because they put me in a table. There was another Filipino girl translating stuff for me in Spanish. It was not Spanish, but she was just throwing some words in Spanish. I was like, yeah, okay, got it. And then like they were trying to communicate with me somehow. And while I was eating these ajumas, they were like with the napkin, they were cleaning my mouth.
They were giving the personal service.
Yes. And they were like telling me, oh, she uses the chokara so well. And I was like, and they were like, oh, do you want us to feed you? I was like,
so uncomfortable.
I was feeling bad at that point. I was just like, no, it's okay. And I was just eating. And then they were like bringing more food for me. Oh, do you want more chapte? I was like,
It's like feeding the pig before slaughter.
Yeah.
I swear that was the first thing I thought, like, they're gonna kill me. They're feeding me to like I'm gonna be some kind of sacrifice. I'm feeling
Offer to the gods.
Yeah, that could actually happen, like following someone and getting in a random car would easily turn the situation into a true crime case.
I know, right?
Yeah, so be careful.
It sounds so dumb, but that time, in my mind, I was like, oh, they're being friendly. They gave me a waffle. So the waffle was the key. I swear.
The waffle was the key.
Yeah, and then at that time, like, they were feeding me more and more, and then the pastor came. So when this guy came, like, they were like, oh, now you need to, like, just follow us, okay? And I was like, okay. And then this pastor, like, this guy came, like, wearing a suit, and he was not even looking at people's face. He was just like, yeah. And then everyone stood up and like, oh, very, like, bowing to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, this looks very weird. And then they introduced me to the pastor, and I was just like, yeah, hi. And he was like, and then
Good job.
and I was like,
Good.
and then they told me, like, oh, later you can talk to him. And I was like, thanks, it's fine, like, it's okay. And then the pastor sat down to eat somewhere, and then the ladies were just treating him as they were treating me. I was like,
The pastor?
Yeah.
They were like wiping.
yeah, they were feeding him and stuff, and he
Oh
was
my
just like,
god.
Oh, that sounds like JMS.
yeah. It was not GMS, but
Competitors.
it's competitors, yeah. And then after that, I finished eating, and they were talking to me still, and I was just like, oh, I need to go home. I have a lot of homework. Like, I need to study. And they're like, oh, but we have very good Vietnamese coffee. Do you want to try?
Vietnamese coffee.
There's waffle food and then Vietnamese coffee.
And I was like,
It's so random.
oh, really? I love Vietnamese coffee. Let's go.
So it's either waffle or Vietnamese coffee.
I mean, it's a combo. They gave me waffle, broccoli, Vietnamese coffee. I was just like,
I'm in heaven already. Kill me if you want.
if I'm in hell, I'm really gonna hug the devil. Then let's go to have coffee.
Vietnamese coffee.
And then I went to they took me to a little video room, and they did have Vietnamese coffee. And I was just drinking Vietnamese coffee, and they were like, oh, we want to show you a video. Like, okay, fine. And then they put this video of Moses and like like how they split the Red Sea, and I was just drinking my coffee,
Vietnamese
like,
coffee.
yeah. I know this movie I watched before, like, my family, they're Catholic. Like, I've been forced to catechism a few times. I watched this a lot of times. I know the stories. And then they were like, yeah, what do you think about the stories? And I was like,
What do I think about
I was like,
this?
yeah, very crazy. Moses opened the sea and
Very
stuff.
crazy.
And then they were like,
Science. What is science?
no, I was like, yeah, like he opened the sea, saved people. Very, yeah, interesting. And then she was like, oh, but there's a very important thing, like, on this story, that Moses, he passes like the blood on the doors so he can protect people from the plague. Right? Not Moses passed, like, but people pass the blood on the... I don't remember exactly. Someone passes the blood on the door and protects from the plague. I was like, yeah. And then they were like, yeah, so we want to, like, we actually brought you here for a reason. And
Okay.
I was like, oh...
Now you're talking business.
Yeah. It
After
came.
they give Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah. I still had the hope that they were just giving me food because they were nice. But then they came to the point. And at that point... I was like, yeah, okay, now is the time for me to pay what I came for. I got free food. Now I need to listen to their, to their thing. So I was like, okay, let's listen. They're like, yeah, we know that in your country, like, you might have done a lot of dirty stuff. They say dirty, and I was like, what do you mean? Lady, I'm sorry, but they were like, yeah, in your culture, like, there's a lot of, like, bad things, right? And
In your culture,
yeah, she was
dirty things.
I was like,
Single-handedly offended the
what are
whole
you-
country.
what are you talking about? Anyways, and then she was just saying, like, oh yeah, but we want to save you just like the people got saved from the plague. I was like, oh, you're gonna pass blood on me? I was just like trying to imagine what would happen to me. And they're like, yeah, we want to save you because you don't know, like, you can die tomorrow. Like you can die the next day. Korea is so dangerous. Like, we have so many natural disasters, like hurricane. We have like tsunamis. We have so many things that you can die tomorrow. And I was just like,
This is crazy.
This is very relaxing, guys. I'm loving this conversation. and then I was like, yeah, I know, right? And then she was like, oh, but we want to save you, so we want to give you the body and the blood of Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, it's just a little bread with
wine.
With wine, I'm fine. Okay. Just say, oh. I was like, just give me. If you're gonna send me home after that, that's it. And then they were like, yeah, oh, nice, you accept to receive. They were like, oh, clapping and stuff. And I was like, okay, I can get it. If I can go home after, right? She was like, yeah. Okay, but then they were like, oh, there's a little problem. And I was like, what? They're like, we cannot give you the body and the blood of Jesus because it's very sacred. We need to actually baptize you.
So you were baptized?
I was, I was just
story's
like,
coming.
Wait,
I was just like,
baptized for food?
after food, actually. Food for baptized.
Yeah, food comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, they told me a lot of, like, they told me a whole story about there's a God Father, the God Mother, like, who knows which church I'm talking about. And then they were like, oh, but you need to be baptized on this kind of belief because this is better, you're gonna be safe. And we can give you the body of Jesus and stuff.
So you're Catholic, right?
I'm not.
Your parents
My parents are Catholic. That time I was Buddhist. I think I am.
She's religion fluid.
Yeah. Sometimes some things from some religions make sense for me, and I'm just open to everything, actually. And then at that time I was like, no, I cannot be baptized. I got baptized in the Christian, like, in the Catholic church. My mom is gonna kill me. I need to talk with my parents. Like, don't do this to me. I'm Buddhist. Look at I had a Buddhist amulet at the time. And they were like, oh, but we cannot let you leave.
Oh my god.
And at that time, I look, and there was an ajumma in the door. There was another ajumma next to her, and there was another one. And there was this Filipino girl trying to speak with me, like, in Italian, Spanish, and Filipino, and everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh. At that time, I almost started to cry. I was like, my mom, like, I need to talk to my parents. I cannot get baptized now. Like, this is too big. It's a life decision. Like, I cannot get baptized. Like, And they were like, no, but you need to.
You can't leave.
And I was like, baptize me then. Go, then baptize me. And then they're like, yay, so happy.
Oh my god.
And things just escalated. Like, they're like, oh, so we're going to take you to the pastor's office. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then you need to take all of your clothes, like even the underwear and stuff, and put these clothes we're gonna give to you. And I was just like, okay. You want me to be naked in the pastor's office?
Oh my god.
At that moment, I was just texting my roommate, like, look, they're doing some weird stuff to me. If like, text me in 20 minutes, call me, do something, okay? And my roommate was sleeping that time. She didn't read the message. She read the message like 3 hours after. But anyways, they gave me a baby blue hanbok. There was like a veil, those bride things. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna marry him. that was my first time. Like,
you're the 635th wife of this pastor.
I'm gonna marry him. That's what my first thought. Like, he was wearing a suit. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna marry him. I'm too young for that. No, I cannot. And
that was your only worry? You're too young for that?
My worry was that I was not wearing underwear. That was my biggest worry. I was like,
oh, so you were naked, like, beneath the hanbok?
Yeah. They told me to take off everything, so I could not run away because I was naked. This was like, I was having a lot of...
So the pastor, like, when he first saw her, and gave that strange look, like
At that time, I was
he
like,
knew that
yeah, maybe
she's gonna be my bride.
Oh my gosh.
So
were
creepy.
God,
Oh my
They
god.
were feeding me. Oh my gosh.
That is creepy as fuck.
Thankfully, I didn't marry him. At the end of the day, I didn't marry him. But still single. But the thing is, like, I went to this office, and inside his office there was a bathroom, and inside his bathroom there was a big like bowl, like a bucket of water.
Butter?
It was not a bathtub. It was a big bucket, like very big bucket.
Like
of
the
water.
ones where they make kimchi?
No, it was taller. I cannot explain. Like, the one they put on the top of houses. I don't know if they do it here.
Water
in Korea.
tanks?
Water tank. It was a kind of a water tank.
Okay.
And then like there was some things, another little buckets inside for him to, And then they put me inside the bathroom. Like the Ajumas, they put me inside this bathroom, and they're like, okay, so you cannot scream and you cannot leave. The pastor will come. And I was like, I cannot scream? What are you talking about?
What are you gonna do?
No, because she knew some words in English. Maybe she didn't express herself well, but she just told me, like, don't scream and, like, don't leave. And I was just like, huh. I had no phone. I had no underwear. I had nothing. No dignity at all. I was I went to a car because of a waffle. I at that moment I was just questioning my entire
Existence.
life and existence. I was just like, you know what? Yeah, that's it. What can I do? I'll just wait and don't scream and stuff. And then the pastor came. He said nothing to me. He just came, and then he put his hand on my head, and then these other ajumas came and they put their hand on my head. He got a bucket and he threw on me like a lot of water. That's why I shouldn't scream, because
It was cold water.
it was cold water, and I thought like I almost died by like drowning on the water, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be sacrificed by water. That's it. He was throwing so much water on me and saying some stuff. I didn't understand, because at that time, like my Korean, I just understood like Hananim, blah, 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 우리나라, blah, 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 blah. It was just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then they washed me on water. That's why they made me take out everything, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Maybe they were just considerate.
yeah,
Like,
maybe
at least not get your normal clothes wet,
they could just at least, like, if they were gonna force me to get baptized, they could at least look at me and say like, look, we're gonna throw a lot of water on you, that's why we need you to take off your underwear. And it's not like take everything, put this dress, and don't scream, Well, what do you think? Like, I was ready for the sacrifice and stuff. And yeah, after that, they all like, I got baptized. Pastor said nothing. He just left. And then the ladies, they were like, oh, Chukaya, like just congratulating me for getting baptized. I was like, thanks guys, it was amazing, nice. And then they gave me like a hair dryer. I just put my clothes. I was pissed at the time. And then they're like, oh, you need to sign something here and there, like
NDA.
yeah, I needed to sign. I put my ARC number. My ARC changed though. I don't think they have it anymore. But I put my name, my ARC number, my phone number.
But just the fact that they asked you for your ARC,
Yeah.
like your residence number in Korea, like everything in Korea is linked to your ARC number.
that time I didn't know. I was just
It's
dumb.
very dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, and then they finally gave me the body and blood of Jesus, and
The bread.
It's funny though, because at that moment I was like, Korean Jesus is made of rice. Was it dog?
Korean Jesus is made of rice.
They gave me a talk and made
Did they give you makgeolli instead of wine?
No, it was just a kurpix.
Oh my god, that is kulfis and pork.
Yeah, Jesus is made of rice here. And then I remember I got the talk. I was like, and I ate, and I was like, okay, can I go home now? And they're like, oh yes, of course. And then they took a picture with me, of course. And then they let me go, but I didn't know where I was. I just walked to the first bus stop I found.
Oh my god.
Ended up somewhere.
Oh, they didn't drop you back?
I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
They offered me. I was like, nope. No, I'm gonna end up somewhere else. I just got a bus. I went to Nampo, and then from Nampo I went to back to university. And
That is so scary.
That is way like 10 times scarier than what happened with
Yeah.
me.
It's a very extreme experience.
And at that time, like, like after everything happened, I was just, I was feeling a bit conflicted inside of me. I was like, oh, was this a fun experience? Was this a very...
She's very positive.
She is very positive. Like, she's nice to everyone, and she thinks everyone's nice too.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah.
And then like I start to feel bad. I was like, no, I feel bad. I feel abused. They lied to me. And then I blocked Ash from my contact because she kept messaging like, oh, do you want to come next Sunday? I was like, no.
Baptized number 2.
Yeah. Baptized
Fun
again.
fact, I had a Buddhist amulet that time. I was wearing that for 2 years. On that day, I arrived on the dorm and it fell like on my hand. It fell on my hand and I don't know, like, I don't think they cut or anything, but it didn't rip. It seemed like someone cut it.
I mean, did you take it off when
No.
you were wearing that when you got baptized?
Yeah, I never took off. Like, for 2 years, I never took off. It was like it was not a metal or anything. It was just, I don't know, leather, something like that. And it was for me for 2 years. I arrived on the dorm and it fell on my hand.
Oh my God.
I wonder if they did something.
I don't know. I don't think they cut. I didn't feel anything. But it was not even like ripped. It feel like it was cut. I'm sorry, Buddha. Like, what
Yeah, it was some kind of a sign that you have done something that you shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I felt very bad after that.
But at least you were not abused in another way.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
At least you're
Thankfully.
here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're here.
Thank
you're
you for
safe.
being here. Thank you. Yeah.
Like, I've heard this story a lot of times before, like a lot of different versions. Kind of like every time she tells this story, she sometimes leaves some part out and like tells like the gist of the story. But like, this is the first time I hear the whole full story. I was like, oh my God.
That's so scary. Like, you could have been sexually abused by that
I know.
pastor.
I know.
Mm.
I was thinking like inside the bathroom. I was just thinking like, what if I I uppercut him? How can I attack him? Like,
What should you aim?
yeah, I was just like, can I use something in this bathroom as a weapon? Like, I was.
You're ready for a fight.
Yeah, like, should I drown him on this water? I didn't know. I was just thinking about it and.
So this was a different kind of cult, I think.
Very
Like,
different.
It's
I
not,
think this was more like a religious cult.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
religious. And fun fact, last weekend,
All these facts are not fun.
yeah, it's not fun. It's scary.
random fact,
Random
no,
facts.
additional fact, I would say, to like last weekend there was a Soul Friendship Festival here in
Kwangwamun.
Ngonghamun, yeah. And I went there because there was Brazilian food, so I wanted to eat. I went there with some friends, and after all, I left my friends and I went to a cafe to study. On my way from Ngonghamun to the cafes, I met four actually. Two of them once and two of them after. Like, they were in strategical points from the same church I got baptized, and they came to me and they were like, oh, hi, do you have some time to listen to a little presentation? And then I look at her, church, and she was like, oh yes, I'm from church. I was like, which church? And then she said, oh, this church. And I was like, I'm baptized. I know the story. Sorry, I don't have time. And then I left. And then on the other point, like, these two girls, they came to approach me again, and they were like, oh, can you listen to our presentation a little? Yeah, it was the same thing. I was like, are you from this church? Oh yes, do you know the church? I was like, yeah, I know. I was in Busan. Someone got me. They lied to me. They baptized me. They said they were going to give me free food. They just gave me food and baptized me. They lied to me. I don't like you guys. And they didn't seem surprised at all.
Yeah.
And that's possible.
They just look at me like, oh, chum. And then they laugh. I was like, oh yeah, they lost a chance, yeah. And I was thinking, how common is this?
Yeah.
You know? There was a time I was going back to her house and they followed me. This girl, she didn't talk to me, but I felt she was following me because our building has no like other houses than there's our house and like one or other house, and we know the people that live there. It's not like I knew she wasn't one of the people that live there, and she was just following like with her tablet, and I just looked behind and she was like, oh, can you listen to my presentation? I was like,
Okay. How many presentations do they have?
I was like, what kind of presentation? Oh, it's a very short presentation. I was like, is it from church? And she was like, yes. Like, no, I'm sorry. And then she went down the stairs. But she was following, like, she went to the second floor or something like that.
She did? That's scary, man.
So have you ever watched that Netflix documentary? It was huge in Korea and abroad, called In the Name of God.
Yeah.
Yes, I watched the 2 first episodes. The second episode I couldn't. The third episode I couldn't because it triggered me. But the first episode,
Trauma.
the first 2 episodes from the GMS church, I did watch.
I couldn't watch it. I played it. First 10 seconds, the audio comes. I was like, whoop, nope.
Yeah.
It's very specific.
I couldn't even watch a single video. Like, I just heard the audio and I was like, not.
The audio, you know, it was very explicit.
It was hardcore. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can handle this. I'm not made for this.
Yeah, as a Korean, I feel that, you know, like many Koreans do not know that this is happening within these religious cults and how these religious cults approach foreigners or other like vulnerable female, you know, and, you know, making them the bride of these crazy religious.
Because like most of the people who approach you in Korea, at first, all of them seem harmless. Like none of them feel dangerous, like right from the first time you meet them. But like you can go a lot of different directions with these girls. Like for example, in my case, it was just like a history club. And they made me pay like manwon. But like in her case, it was like getting baptized. It all started with the same conversation, the same kind of people. But then it could go so many different wrong ways that you never know. I was just lucky that it was not as crazy as her story. But like we have a friend who, talking about the In the Name of God, the GMS cult, we actually have a friend who we think she kind of got into the cult, but she ran away before anything bad happened. She was also in like she was doing her language school in Korea, in Busan, and she got approached by some people, and they was like, of course, like they started talking like how they do to all the foreigners, like, where are you from, like what are you doing here, blah blah blah. And then she got scouted as like a model, and she was like, yeah, okay, modeling sounds fun. Like she had interest in modeling, and she's like, yeah, like I have nothing to do. It was like the summer break. She was like, yeah, fun, a nice little activity. She went with them, and like for 1 month or something, they were just doing like modeling classes once a week. Like it was nothing shady was happening. Like once a week they would do modeling classes. She would go there, practice her modeling stuff.
Was that
and
for
everything.
free?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. Major red flag.
Yeah. But she was like, oh, free modeling classes, great. And she was going there once a week. And like she told us, like sometimes they would like the lady who was in charge of all these people in her group, like of course she was not alone, there were also other people. She would like call them for dinners and stuff. So like and again, nothing shady was happening. Like they were just meeting for eating food, and that's it. That happened for some time. And then one time they were like, the lady who was in charge, she was like, okay, so we're going on like a retreat kind of thing somewhere, okay, with like, and like all the people from all across Korea, like the same organization, they will all meet in this one big place, and it will be like a get together for like all the people in this organization or whatever, or the company. Like of course they told it was a company. So she was like, okay, like sounds fun. It's like it's summer break, and it's a lot of foreigners, and it's what can happen, right? So she goes there, and it's a big villa, a big estate in what is it called, Wolmyeongdong.
Oh yeah, Wolmyeongdong. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know that it was JMS, or she didn't know anything about the cult per se. Like even we didn't know that it was the same cult that was happening. And she goes there. It's a big estate, a huge villa kind of thing, and everyone is just like having a good time. Like they're just playing, and there was like a pool party and stuff like that happening. And in one like kind of like a pagoda thing, one dude was giving some sort of seminar. Thankfully, a friend never went to that seminar. She didn't participate in that seminar, so she doesn't know what they were preaching or whatever the seminar was about. But there were like groups of people who were listening to the seminar, and most of the people who were in that place were all foreign women, young foreign woman. She told us like she thought it was a little bit sketchy because like, you know, what are all these foreign women, young women from all across the country doing here? And then at one point, like this dude, after his seminars were over, he comes in his like little golf van or something like that, and all of them, like her group, our friends group, they get on the van. Like he's like, yeah, I'll give you a tour of my estate and like I'll show you around, stuff like that. Nothing sketchy. And so they are on this little estate tour on his little golf van. We don't know who this dude is. We assume he's someone, but like we're not sure who this is, of course, because we were not there and our friend, she doesn't remember his face. And the lady who was in charge of her group, she introduced her to this dude. And she was like, yeah, she's a really good model and blah, blah. She was praising her about like or her Korean or how she looks or like how she models or stuff like that. And she ended up shaking hands with this dude. And when she shook hands, all the other girls were like, oh my God, I'm so jealous. You're so lucky. Like you got to go shake hands with this person. And that's the point where my friend was like, okay, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, why are they crazy over this old ajushi?
He was that guy.
We don't know. Like we don't want to make assumptions, but we think he was.
Obviously.
Yeah. So after that, she tried to ask that lady who was in charge, like, so who is this guy? Like, I shook hands with him. He seems popular. And she was like, yeah, but like, I'll tell you about him. Like, she didn't tell the name of this guy, but like, if you like Google him, of course, a lot of bad things will come. But like, he's a nice guy. He's just trying to help people, and he's trying to, you know, help people become better and like better versions of themselves and blah blah blah. And she was like, yeah, so I can't Google him. And they never told her the name of this guy.
Typical JMS story.
Yeah, and then she just left. Like she never went back to this modeling class. Thankfully, she came back home safe, and she could go back to her dorms and just not go back again. And like at first when we heard this story, we were like, okay, it's just like another cult, and it's like, you know, they just want foreigners in their brochures, because usually they want foreigners because they want us to put on their brochures. They take photos and put up on their websites and stuff. Yeah. So we all thought it was like, okay, maybe it's just another cult story like we all have. And then when we were before we did this podcast, I was like talking to all my friends and listening to their cult stories, and we were in the group chat, and she was telling us about like what her story was. And then at one point she sends us a photo of like she digged into her photo album to find at least some photo that she has from that place, and she sent us a photo of she sent the location. She sent the location.
She found the location of the place.
She had some photo from that place, and you know, in Apple you get the geotag of where you took the photo.
And it was Walmyeongdong.
Oh
my God. And then I just put Walmyeongdong like in Google, and he popped out. And then I just saved his picture and I sent like, is this guy the guy you shook hands with? And she was like, no.
I was like, no, it's not JMS.
It couldn't be. And she was like, oh, I don't know, I don't remember. And then like we start to search, and
like we start sending photos of the place, because like if you Google Walmyeongdong, there's a whole website about like recreational retreat kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was sending all the photos, and she's like, yeah, that's a place. I was like, dude. Do you know where you have been? And she has not seen the documentary, so she doesn't know what JMS is.
She has to watch that documentary.
No. She says she PTSD.
No, she says she doesn't want to watch.
Oh yeah.
Like it's too much. Like she was so lucky to be able to not get sucked into that thing. And like she didn't know what JMS was, and us too. I know about the documentary. She saw the documentary, so we knew how they recruited and like what they did. So we were like, are you sure this happened? Are you sure that happened? And then all of us came to a conclusion that it was probably JMS.
Yeah.
Because it was Walmyeongdong. Like, what else can it be?
Yeah, and the way they react when she shook hands with him.
It was all young foreign girls.
Oh my God.
And they have like a model bombu, like
they're probably like preparing them to be his brides or whatever. I was like, oh my God. our friend group has some crazy stories.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating how these religious cults can affect, like people in the psychological level, like how they manipulate the human mind, and entice these people into believing that this guy is some kind of a god, and I would be his bride, and like cleanse my soul or something. So, and JMS is actually a really, really big organization. It's all around the world and has a lot of, like foreign believers. Yeah, so if you're new to this country, or if this is your first year in Korea, you might have, you might be experiencing a lot of these kind of religious cult approaching you. So, as foreigners who have been living here for a very long time, if you have any tips or any kind of red flags that foreigners should be looking for, if you have any tips, you can tell our audience.
Red flags for me: don't trust girls holding a tablet that come next to you and ask you to watch presentations. This is the modern approach they're doing. Or ajumas that come to you and compliment you a lot, even you just say 안녕하세요, and you're like, oh, you're Korean, oh my gosh.
Complimenting is the biggest red flag.
And like, if they keep asking too much about you, I know, like, when you come, you want to make friends, you want to interact, but if they keep asking like, oh, where are you from, what are you doing here,
if that conversation lasts more than 2 minutes,
it's a red flag.
It's not normal to have random conversations here. It's not normal. So,
and what we have learned from her story: free food.
free food
Red
flag.
Do not accept free food. Like, it's such a simple concept. Like,
there's nothing in this world for free. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's common sense. Like, your parents teach you, do not accept free food from strangers, but like, it just happens.
It happens. I mean,
it just happens. If they ask you to do a traditional Korean experience, don't.
Yeah,
like,
traditional Korean experience.
Like, if you want to do it, book it on like Airbnb, or book it on, I don't know, some website that offers traditional experiences, but like, don't go with random people who say that, we'll provide you with an experience that you'll never experience anywhere else. Like, it's a major red flag.
Also, they lure a lot of people by saying they have English, Korean, like language exchange meetings. They will come to you like, oh, we have a meeting. There's some Koreans trying to learn English, and there's like these foreigners, they're trying to practice Korean. If you want, you can join us. 갑자기, like out of nowhere, they come and talk to you like this in the middle of the street. No. On the school also. No. Yeah. This kind of group, they do not recruit people like that. They post like some announcement, and then you contact them. They do not contact you. It's not like how it works.
I had a great time with you.
Me too.
Like, this is like by far the most interesting conversation I had with foreigners. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And I had a great time.
Me too.
Thank you.
Be safe, guys.
Be safe. Be safe, guys.
Bye.